Good evening, brothers and sisters, and welcome to the Monday night edition of The People Show. I'm Mark Wallace, your host and facilitator with you here on intellectualradio.com and iHeartRadio, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We got a jam-packed Monday night program for you. We're going to be talking with my guest co-host, I call him every other week, Monroe Anderson, who is a veteran journalist. He's a former press secretary of the late Mayor Eugene Sawyer. And he was out at the No Kings rally on this past weekend. We're going to be talking about that. And we're also going to be talking with Dr. Swathi Varanasi-Diaz, who is a specialist in integrative pharmacy, and she's going to be talking with us about the importance of why our energy matters more than our diet. So we're going to be talking with her a little bit later on in the program. But the first thing is I want to open up because I think there's been a lot of conversation about this that we have seen in terms of what's going on with the current administration, what they have been doing, and why some people are acting as though they're surprised, and why our community largely are not surprised. It's very important that we understand exactly what is going on, and why we as the Black community are not participating in many of these protests. We understand why that is. And we're going to be having that conversation. We're going to have that conversation with Monroe Anderson and get his take on it. And you'll get my take on it. And then I want to get your take on it. But I'm going to give you my take on it when we have this conversation. But what I first want to do is I want to talk to us about strategizing, and why you have heard me talking about building our own independent voting block here in Cook County, Chicago, and the state of Illinois. Because I think that one of the things that we have got to get away from is we have got to get away from personality politics, is what I call it, and remove ourselves from personality politics, because it has undermined our vote tremendously. So, I prepared a statement that I certainly want to share with us, and I certainly want to make sure that our community has to understand the importance of it. So as a family, let's be very real with ourselves, with our community. Has been the most loyal voters for generations. We've marched, we've organized, and we've shown up at the polls, rain or shine, Yet after all of this, after election after election, the return on our political investment has been small compared to the power of our numbers. That's why today it is critically important that we must have a serious conversation about building our own independent Black voting bloc, not a wing of someone else's party, but a force that moves on its own values, agenda, and power. Here's the truth. As long as we allow others, political parties, donors, and machine politicians to choose our candidates, we will never control our destiny. For too long, politics in Chicago, Cook County, and across Illinois has built around personalities, not policies. We vote for who's popular, who makes us feel good, who's connected, or who we think that can win, instead of who we fight and deliver for our communities. That's personality politics, and it is drowning our communities' progress. We need to move from personality politics to principle politics, from being followers to being selectors, slaters, and electors of our own representatives. That means creating a structure, a real, organized Black independent voting bloc that identifies candidates based on a Black agenda, education, economic development, fair housing, public safety, business contracts, and family wealth. So that means from education to economics. Imagine if in every election cycle in the city, the county, and the state, we came together, analyzed the issues, and said, these are our priorities. These are our candidates, and this is our vote, unified and uncompromised. That's how you build power. That's how other groups have secured policies, resources, and respect. They didn't beg for influence, they built it. When we organize, we can't be ignored, and we certainly can't be disrespected. But when we stay divided and chase personalities, we remain predictable, and predictable voters get taken for granted. So I say to us, this is the time to stop playing someone else's political game. Let's write our own rules. Let's form our own independent Black voting bloc, one that speaks with one voice and demands one thing: accountability to the Black community. Because when we organize, we don't just vote, we change the direction of Chicago, Cook County, and the state of Illinois, and thereby change the direction of Black America. It's time for us to stop reacting to politics and start directing it. This is where I believe that we have to be. It's not blowing up the system. It is redirecting it. It is not being compromised or compromising our community. It is taking control of our vote, getting something for what we have. You don't just give your vote to someone and then they go and they dictate how they're going to govern, which in many respects for us, they've been governing for other people. They haven't been governing to what our demands are, or certainly what needs to be delivered in our communities. We've got to get out of the selfishness, individualism, the individual selfishness. I want for you to be as successful as possible. It doesn't take anything away from me to help you become as successful as possible for you, for your family, and thusly for the community. And that is the attitude that all of us should be taking for our neighbors and for other people, is to look beyond ourselves. Because helping someone else takes nothing away from you. It demonstrates your love for yourself by how we reach out to other people. That is the attitude that we must have. We, as a Black community, we don't have the luxury of individualism. We have the responsibility of organizing ourselves together in a collective corporate manner. That is what our success and liberation will come from. It will not come from a preferential few. It will not come from egotistical individuals who think that they and their personality is the end that meets all. That's not where it is. We win successfully as a collective. And as I was raised to say that if I do something to help you rise, I can't help but rise myself. So if we take that attitude that we're going to collectively abandon our individualism and come together corporatively, then we will control what is going on with those who are currently in office and empower ourselves to either elect or to unelect those who don't equitably be accountable for our communities. In Chicago, we have a Black mayor. We have a Black Cook County Board president. We have 6 Cook County commissioners that are Black. We have 20 Black aldermen. We have a Black superintendent of police. We have several commissioners in other areas that are Black. We have 22 state representatives and 10 Black state senators and 4 Black United States Congress people, a Black lieutenant governor, a Black attorney general. We have all of these people that we have elected to these positions in the last 40 years, but we have not reciprocated the equity for our votes. And that is because we continue to play personality politics. Our politics must be transactional. In other words, that we have to get something for our vote. But in order to get something for our vote, we must control our vote. We must control our entire destiny. That means that we control our entire destiny. We control who it is that we select, not a party. Now, this is not to say that we are blowing up the system. We are going to make the system operate as it should operate going forward. But it is entirely up to us to make that happen. We cannot leave that to someone else to make that happen. Identity or personality politics is what we must abandon, and we must build our own independent Black voting bloc so that we become the selectors, the slaters, and ultimately the electors, not allowing for someone else to choose who our candidates are, and not allowing for someone else to fractionize our vote so that we elect who somebody else wants so that they can have control over who that eventual elected representative is. But it is entirely up to us. So I wanted to make that statement. I wanted to make it clear that that is our liberation. And until we do such things, we are going to suffer the inequities that we continue to suffer. All right. So we're going to move forward. I want you all to think about that. And as a matter of fact, if you haven't done so, please text 10x10 to the number 855-909-1385, which is the 10 by 10 to win apparatus, where we are organizing every week to do just that, collectively, to build an independent Black voting bloc here in Chicago, Cook County, and in the state of Illinois. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the program. All right, we're going to move forward here. Monroe Anderson, who is a veteran journalist, retired veteran journalist. He's a former press secretary for the late Mayor Eugene Sawyer, who took reign of office after the untimely death of Mayor Harold Washington. Eugene Sawyer became the mayor, and Monroe became his press secretary. He is with us every other week, and we call this Monroe Monday. I'm going to bring him on into the studio. Monroe, welcome to the program.
Good to be here. Yeah, very good to be here.
All right. All right. So I saw some news clips, and you sent me a clip that I want to play a little bit of that. Clip, and then we're going to get right into the conversation about this weekend's No King's Day demonstration, rally, protest, however people want to label it. And then I want to get your take on it. And certainly you and I had conversation about why there were so few Black people participating, not only in this demonstration, and in several of the demonstrations that led up to the demonstration that we have. Let's take a look at this clip, and then we'll come back.
So it's October 18th. We're in Chicago at the No Kings protest. I'm co-founder of the tribe, Morgan Elise Johnson. I've covered protests for the tribe. I've attended so many protests over the past 8 years. This is the biggest protest I've ever seen. Monroe, I know that you've been covering protests well before me, well before the tribe existed. So how does it compare to you, for you?
It's the biggest of all time. This is American history in the making. First protest I covered was the Democratic National Convention protest in 1968. I was still in college.
Wow.
I was an intern at Newsweek, and it wasn't anything compared to this, except the Chicago police were beating the living daylights out of everybody.
Wow.
So this is incredible.
I'm 70 years old, so I remember the protests from the 60s. This one has been massive, okay? Just to see the large number of people come out. I mean, all different races, everybody with the same idea, okay? This is our democracy, this is our country.
Yeah.
We fought for it, okay? We will not let him take it over. This is not a dictatorship, okay? This is not a kingdom, okay?
Especially as young Black people, it's our responsibility to be here, you know?
Yeah.
We belong here, and they're trying to take us out of our own homes, our neighbors, our friends, like our community. They're trying to step all over us, and we can't let them. We got to show up.
This is our home, and we have to show up for our community members, because if not us, who will? Who will protect our folks if not us? So it's really important that we do our part in maintaining freedom and peace in our city.
You know, there are not a lot of Black folks out here. Why are more of your friends here? What do you think? Do they think this is a white thing?
Well,
I think there's a lot of fear because they're targeting us. So it's scary, but we show up because we have the privilege to be here. We're citizens. We can show up for the people that can't be here.
They stopped a young black boy a couple of weeks ago on the South Side, okay? He wasn't an immigrant. Now, how to explain that? But you know what they're going to do? Like I said, if they can do it to him, they can do it to us next, okay? So that's why rallies like this today are super important, okay? People to stand up and to be aware. You can't sit around and wait. Because if you wait, they'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, it could be too late.
But the precedents that we set today become the justification for tomorrow's abuses. When we allow tyrannical policies against any group, we make tyranny possible against every group.
What does it feel like to see this administration rolling back some of the gains of the 60s to 70s and the 80s?
It's terrible. It's like all the protest marches in the 60s didn't even happen. You know, it's like everything's being rolled out, and I don't understand why. Especially, I don't see why black Republicans in MAGA actually capitulating to him, okay? Like, wait a minute, you wouldn't even be where you were today if it wasn't for people like Dr. King, Dr. Abernathy, Jesse Jackson, okay? Protest marches in the street, okay? And then they might take a blind eye to it. I don't see it. I don't understand it. I know I would not be here today if it wasn't for them, okay? So this is my way of standing up and say, I'm fighting back because we fought for this, okay? My parents, my ancestors fought for us to be here, okay? So now is not the time to sit, you know, like, oh, you know, they don't believe it. No, history is repeating itself all over again. Fight for power! Fight! Fight! Fight!
Honestly, I've seen a lot of criticism online about No Kings, of just like, okay, we're gathering, but what are we doing after this? But there is something powerful about people assembling and just being heard.
Well, not only that, what is really good about this protest is, first of all, it's everywhere. It's in 2,700 different locations. There's another one going on here in Lincoln Park.
Yeah, and all around the suburbs as well.
Right, exactly. And what it does is, because if you're gay, then you can have your group of protest. For that, you're black, of course, you can have your group of protest. No matter what grouping you are, if you're old, if you're young, whatever, you can find your crowd, your crew, your tribe. And it's so many people. They're saying it's going to be at least 5 million people.
Wow.
Across the country.
The largest in American history, we're hearing.
By far.
I'm James Anderson.
Oh, okay, bro.
Really? We could be related? Okay, all right, okay, all right.
Where your family from?
Southside Chicago, Bronzeville.
Before they got here.
Okay. All right.
Mississippi, Louisiana.
Waynesboro, Mississippi.
All right, so you participated or certainly covered it for the tribe. Tell me about what the tribe is.
The tribe is a black online publication, mainly for Chicago's, or at least this is its origins. It was for Chicago's black millennials. They've expanded since then, and they're becoming quite the force. And what's really good about them is that they're a serious news operation, but they're not doing what you see with much legacy media, where it's, well, on the one hand, this happened, but on the other hand, Trump said that happened. I mean, they have a point of view, and it's a point of view for me and you and younger black people, and they're very good. I just happened to mention to them that I was going out there to the protest, and they asked me if I could talk to some people, and they tape it. So that's what we have. It's not a very professional presentation because we weren't equipped for it, but I think it worked out okay. I mean, you got a feeling of what it was like being out there.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you see things more in the raw, it's more authentic, and you can get it, a better context of what's happening, and then speaking to everyday people without something being so scripted, and hearing them in what their genuine thoughts are about what's going on with the day. But I noticed that you did ask a group there early on in the clip that there were not a lot of presence of Black people. And
Those were DePaul University students.
would that be considered? Yeah. So is that Generation X, or I don't even know what they would call them, but
Z, I think
Z or something like that. Yeah.
We're the
Yeah.
boomers. They're the Zoomers.
Okay. All right. So, I do want to get into the conversation about this, and I kind of want to start it off. We have a guest, Dr. Swathi Varanasi-Diaz, who's going to be coming up at the bottom of the hour, is going to be talking about integrative medicine and pharmacy. So we're going to be talking about that and how our energy versus our diet has a lot to do with making us feel better, especially in a time like we have here. But you and I had some conversation, and of course, I spoke with my organization, and I hate to call it my organization. It's just because I founded it, but it's all of ours. 10 by 10 to Win, which is the platform, the political action committee to build and organize our own Black independent voting bloc here in Chicago, Cook County, and the state of Illinois. And of course, all decisions that are made are not unilaterally made by me. They are made by the entire committee, and that is the basis of how we move forward, whether it is who we will be supporting or selecting as candidates for various offices or issues that we take as a part of an agenda. But it is based on a majority vote. And so we discussed participating in the No King's Day protest or rally, and we deliberated on it for about an hour and a half. Everyone had their opportunity to speak about it, whether they supported it or not. Not in terms of supporting what was being done, whether or not we were going to be on the front lines, because we absolutely support what was being done, but whether or not we were going to be on the front lines of that. And we opted not to be on the front line. And I absolutely agree with that. And of course, my position is that not that we disengage, but that we engage, and we support this. But we, as a Black community, being the largest single individual group, voted against what is happening today. And 53% of white women, 83% of white men, and 54% of Hispanic men chose this. The Black vote voted against this. And so the black community did what it needed to do and was supposed to do in November. And now, and somehow they assumed that, I guess, that they didn't believe what was said to them. I pulled a speech that Del Marie Cobb had done with her legacy committee. And in that speech, she quoted Dr. Maya Angelou, who says that when a person shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And so she, in that, she said that there happens to be this thing where black women and white women vote differently. She said throughout our history, we internalize what happens to one black person as if it is or could happen to us personally. In contrast, white people tend to believe in individual exceptionalism, the belief or feeling that one is inherently special, unique, and destined for outcomes beyond the ordinary, often surpassing their peers. In other words, what they see happen to somebody else couldn't possibly happen to them. And this seems to be true of how this group voted in this past election. Now, they voted the same way in Trump 1.0, except for, they were a percentage shorter or fewer than they voted in this election. So they voted knowing who he was by giving 53% of their vote to Donald Trump.
Yeah, but the thing is, with the Hispanics in particular, when he talked about keeping the rapists and the murderers and the this and the that out, these were hardworking immigrants, undocumented, who figured, well, that's not me, so I'll be fine. They couldn't imagine Trump doing what he and his people are doing now. They just couldn't imagine it. Black folks who've been here since 1616 or so and have been mistreated most of the time, almost all the time, we know better. We know that when the getting gets bad, we better get going. Either to act to prevent the bad stuff from happening, or to get out of the way. But we don't sit around thinking, oh, well, they're going to do other people, but not us, so it'll be all right. And for that reason, that's why I went out there. I went to see how it was to witness it, because it was historic.
So did you go to see or did you go to participate?
Both. I am a journalist. So I went to see, but I'm also an activist. So I went to participate. Although, the participation, it was almost like a party or something. People were dressed up in costume. The signs they had were incredible. I mean, this one woman had done a drawing, a painting of a character of Trump and a character of Putin. And they were face to face and tongue kissing. So, and that was a very popular. Other people out there were taking pictures, asking them to pose with their sign that they had put together. But they had all sorts of signs. I mean, it was incredible. They had a sign,
right?
must have had a sign-making contest because everybody was trying to outdo everybody else with how horrible Trump was and how important the U.S. Constitution is and how it shouldn't be violated. And of course, that our democracy is in jeopardy because of Trump.
Right. All right. Well, listen, we're gonna put a pin in that because you and I have to have a real debate about our differing positions about that. So I wanted to do an intro of that so that people can be prepared. But we have a guest who is coming on, and I've been looking forward to this conversation. We've all had those days when we feel totally out of sync, low energy, stressed, or just a bit off. But what if the secret of getting back in balance isn't just about what you eat or the supplements you take, but it is about your body's energy filled? Our guest today, Dr. Swathi Varanasi-Diaz, is an integrative pharmacist who says our body's unique energy signature can actually impact how well you respond to nutrition, supplements, even your daily habits. And she's here to explain how tuning in to your energy could help you feel better faster. Dr. Varanasi, welcome to the program. Thank you very much for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Well, I've been waiting to have this conversation because when I saw the topic of that, why our energy is actually matters more than our diet. A lot of people certainly want to hear that because I'm sure that there's more to it than just its segment topic, because some could see it as giving us a license to eat whatever we want to if we could do better with our energy. So help us rein it back into context.
Yeah. So the thing is, a lot of people these days, they talk about good vibes. And so if we want to talk about the actual meaning behind that, is that, vibes are just everyday language for everyday frequencies. So everything, whether that's you, me, your phone, or even, your dinner, all of these things emit measurable vibrations. So science can capture these vibrations with tools like spectroscopy. So like when you hear vibes, you're actually sensing real energetic shifts. And so what everyone needs to know, or like a little bit about your question, is we feel off sometimes, and sometimes we're really not feeling like the vibe is suiting us. But there's actual science and ways that we can improve that.
How can we improve it? What steps should we take?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the ways, first, to feel in and notice if your energy is off is, if you feel drained no matter how much you rest, or you're getting sick more often, or even if you notice mood swings that you can't explain. So those are some of the ways that if you feel like, maybe your energy is off, some of the practical ways that we can actually retune our body's energy are simple habits that cost nothing. So the first one is gentle stretching, or even just taking a walk around the block. This can really help release stuck energy. Another one is breathing. So deep, slow breathing that can reset your nervous system. This can be just what I call mindful moments when you're in the line at the grocery store, for example, and you have those few moments while you're waiting to check out, and you can take a few moments to just have deep, slow breathing. Or even if you're at a red light and all of a sudden, you have those few moments, you're waiting at a red light, then you can take a few of those moments to do deep, slow breathing that can really help your nervous system. Another one is singing or humming or even chanting, because that vibration you can feel throughout your whole body, and that can also help with energy. And then the last one is sunlight exposure. So, there's a lot of research out there that shows that sunlight exposure can actually recharge your body's natural rhythm. So many of these things that are accessible and inexpensive or free.
Yeah.
Well, in this climate that we're in right now, politically, right? Everybody is in this climate. It's inescapable. What and you say that like our fingerprints are unique to us and doesn't match anybody else, our energy fields are unique to us as well. Given the climate that we're in now, what would you say, or what tools would you suggest for us to handle what is going on right now in terms of managing our energy?
Yeah, that's a great question because I mean, it's as much as it is important to stay informed with what's going on, we also need to manage how we're feeling. And so I think just enacting any of these strategies that I mentioned that can really just take a moment can really help our energy while we're still keeping up to date with what is going on and trying to manage what we can, given what we can do.
For the past 5 years, I've practiced Tai Chi, and and I do it 3 times a week. And during those past 5 years, we've had COVID, and we've had Trump, and my wife of 41 years developed Alzheimer's, and she died last year. And I am absolutely positive that it's because of the Tai Chi that I got through it. Just because it's those things you talked about. It's breathing, it's stretching, exercise. Part of the exercise sometimes is you're just jumping up and down, and I've noticed the difference. But I didn't realize it could be measured scientifically.
Yeah, so it can be measured. And actually, there's a company that's innovating in the space, and they've kind of put a name to this science. They're calling it quantum Ayurveda. So you might have heard of traditional Ayurveda that is, very much a focus on herbs, diet, and lifestyle to balance the body. Quantum Ayurveda actually takes that foundation and adds a modern twist, and it adds the incorporation of energy frequencies, and more specifically energy frequencies of plants and how they can be matched to our body's own energetic patterns. So that is exactly what you're talking about. It's like the incorporation of all these particular simple habits, and then how can we actually think about how to improve our lifestyle with, if we are to include supplements, how can we actually tune them even better?
So how does a person, what are some of the signs that people can look for that could give them warnings that their energy levels are off?
Yeah, so the first one is something that we might be experiencing, particularly, due to the change in the weather this time of year, is if you're feeling drained no matter how much you rest, or if you're getting sick more often, or even if you're noticing mood swings that you can't explain. So sometimes it can feel like your body is just trying to deal with some of the external pressures or changes outside, and it could throw off your energy field.
So is it how one decides to respond to these as opposed to medicating them, or what we traditionally do when we say, oh, we feel bad? Are you saying that how we were
Yeah, I'm so sorry you cut out.
We can't hear you, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. My question was that is it how one would respond to a certain way that they're feeling? Could just be their energy being off, not necessarily them being sick or having some health issue.
Yeah, that's a great question. It could be one or both. So your energy field is off, or maybe your energy is feeling off, or your vibes are feeling off. That could be just you not feeling well, or feeling a little, let's say, under the weather, or you're maybe having those mood swings, or you're just not quite feeling like yourself. But it could also be also it could potentially be as well manifesting itself in sickness or in something that would require a medication or some sort of intervention. So it very much depends on how your energy is feeling off. And I mean, also it's very important to tune in to kind of realize like how you're feeling. And do you feel like, you're too stressed, or you're not getting enough sleep, or have you been spending too much time looking at your screen, or maybe you haven't gotten sunshine in a while because you've been staying inside, or maybe even because you're surrounding yourself with negative people. All of these things can unknowingly really influence our energy. And so it could manifest in some sort of, disease requiring an intervention, but it also could just be throwing off, how we feel.
Okay, so are you a researcher? Are you a practitioner, or both? And um, if someone's interested in pursuing this or looking into it more, what steps should they take?
Yeah, so I am an integrative pharmacist. So I very much have worked with patients. Now I don't work with patients anymore, but I'm more on the research side. And one of the best ways, if you want to learn more about quantum Ayurveda, or really the involvement of energy as a part of improving quality of life, is to look up more information on quantum Ayurveda. I would suggest going to greenspaceherbs.com. They're really the pioneer in the space to make this research more widely available.
I think you need to spell that last word for us to be able to look it up, because otherwise
Yes.
we'd be guessing.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So Green Space Herbs is the name of the company, the name of the website. So that's just exactly as it sounds, greenspaceherbs.com. And the field that I'm mentioning is quantum Ayurveda. So
That's what I'm talking
quantum,
about.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So quantum Ayurveda. So quantum is Quantum is the first word, and the second word, as you requested, is Ayurveda. And that is a traditional methodology of medicine. And so quantum Ayurveda is kind of the new modern twist on the principles of Ayurveda.
So how popular is it? Do you in terms of, do you give seminars on how do people learn more about this?
Yeah,
And,
so
and
there's
actually,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to get an understanding of how you progress to, this, and with what integrative medicine is, and maybe you can kind of give us a little better understanding of what that actually means and is for the audience.
Yeah, so integrative medicine is what I call, personalized medicine. And personalized medicine, at the end of the day, through an integrative lens, or integrative medicine in that way, is thinking about how we can identify how each patient is different, and how we can personalize therapy and not just limit therapy to the one modality that we're all used to, which is conventional, prescription medications. So this is one step further past the conventional medications, and trying to ensure that each treatment is actually personalized to the patient or the person. And so for most people, when I used to work with patients directly, that would be in general a combination of prescription medications, potentially herbal therapies, an improvement in nutrition principles, the discussion of movement and sleep hygiene. So it's kind of all these components that come together to really be whole person health. And so it's not discounting the use of prescription medications, but rather amplifying the options beyond prescription medications to give patients other things that they can look to.
Okay, now is this for vegetarians only, or what about carnivores? Are they left out of this practice?
No, this is for everyone. So as it pertains to the person, if someone is a vegetarian or someone prefers to eat meat and vegetables, and then they can have their, within integrative medicine, they can have a more tailored program that suits them.
Okay, and now, again, for people who want to pursue this,
Yeah.
do they go to the green? Sorry, the green.
Green space herbs, yes.
Yeah. Do they go to that site or can you are there offices in hospitals or next to hospitals or down the street around the corner? How does one go deeper into this?
Yeah, the best way would be to go to greenspaceherbs.com. That's where you can find a wealth of information and resources, and also learn about a lot of the new advancements that are happening in the research realm as it pertains to quantum Ayurveda and herbal medicine, and all of this sort of energy enhanced wellness, or frequency first wellness, if you want to call it that. That's the best place to stay in touch and to continue to find out more information.
Okay, now how much of this is psychological? You know, you're worried about you're a college student. You have a final next week. You haven't studied long and much or enough, so you're worried about flunking the final, and so you don't have much energy, or the energy you have is very frantic. Uh, how does that theory work in a situation like that?
Yeah, that's great. So we can talk about it from like almost like a case study perspective. So for someone who is, gearing up for finals and trying to balance, taking care of themselves and sleeping and studying and all of those things, they can still incorporate a lot of those simple habits that I talked about, whether it's, taking a stretch in between study sessions, or, walking around the block to just clear your mind for 5 minutes. And that's the thing, a lot of these habits that I talk about, they're not meant to be complicated or something that takes a lot of time. It's really trying to find those moments throughout the day where you can do them. And it doesn't, so for example, when I talk about movement, it doesn't have to be a 60-minute gym class or something, or a workout class. Instead, it could be that stretching between study sessions for this person, taking a walk around the block, going to just feel the sunshine. And, especially as you're, studying so much, to really help ground yourself and really promote those natural rhythms. And then the other one is breathing. So when you have those few moments that you're taking as you're closing your computer, you're about to head to bed for, even if it's only 4 or 5 hours before the big exam, taking those few moments to have those deep, slow breathing to reset your nervous system will be so helpful and really actually help you go to sleep too.
This reminds me of an interview that I saw with Michael Jordan years and years ago, when he talked about, they asked him, what does he do that makes him so great? And one of the things that he said is that he says, I don't make these big, huge leaps. He said, I make, minor adjustments that get me maximum output. So this sounds like you can do some really small or minor adjustments, whether it's breathing or just going for a simple walk, that could give you, greater outcomes on how you respond to whatever it is that you may be experiencing. Is that more of what this is about? It's really sort of nuanced adjustments.
Yeah, I love that example that you gave, actually, because that's exactly how I view it. Is a few of even one of these habits per day, they will compound over time. And so it's even like, that famous saying that people, will often reference, that's like, I just aim to be 1% better than I was the day before. Yeah, but if you're aiming for 1% better over the time, over years and decades, that's going to be a lot, because 1% compounds over so many days. So I love the way you said it, and that's exactly how I view it. It's not about those 60-minute workouts or, taking 4 hours out of your day to meditate. It's these little minor moments that all add up.
All right, Dr. Swathi Varanasi-Diaz, you can reach her at Instagram at Dr. Swathi Varanasi. That's Varanasi. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, your pronunciation is perfect, actually.
Okay, fantastic. And then you can get her on LinkedIn. And of course, you can go to the website, and that is greenspaceherbs.com. Dr. Swathi, thank you very much for being here with us. We have to have you come back sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sounds good. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks so much. Have a good night. All right.
Good night.
All right, folks, we're going to continue our conversation with Monroe Monday. And of course, that's good to have the conversation on how to adjust our energy fields. But I wanted to get into this with you because I think it's really important, because I want for people to really understand in full context of what it is that I mean, and why I deeply believe, for several reasons, given the person that we have in office now, why that I think that as the Black community, and certainly as the Black vote, while our participation should be adjusted differently, that we should not be the ones out in the streets, because we are not the ones who are responsible for the person who is in office. Understandably, that we are suffering the consequences of this person who is in office. And so our engagement needs to be much more strategic. It needs to be much more strategic, involved, but much more strategic from a different point of view than being on the streets, leading marches and demonstrations. That we could be as effective in a different space, and it should be led by the groups that led yesterday or this past weekend's demonstration, and that we fully support that.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you about our not leading this. This is so horrible that white people who might have put up with Trump's tactics in that first term are just, they're shocked that he's hell-bent on becoming a dictator. And he's making all the necessary steps. This is why we're getting military in our cities, whether it's National Guard or pretty soon there'll be real soldiers there. He wants to use them as his brown shirts. That will be his private army to intimidate us next year in the midterms, to not show up at the polls, afraid of what the National Guard or the ICE or one of his many police entities he's put together will do to them, and so they won't show up. And if they do show up, he's very, Trump and his people are very upset that not only did you have 7 million people in something like 3,000 different protests from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, but there was no violence, zero violence. He wanted there to be some violence, so he could have called it an insurrection and bring in the military forces, so he could set up a police state in Illinois, in California.
Well, given that there was not a single report of any type of violence,
right,
or whatever they want to call rioting. Now, I think that in part because it was largely participated by white people.
Yeah.
So there was a different label. If there were far more Black people participating in that, he would have had an excuse to say, even if it didn't happen, would say that they were creating riots in the street. That's another nuance that I believe that makes this really effective and more powerful. Of that, where our support will be and is for what they're doing on the front lines. The other thing is that I forget what the appeal courts stayed the federal court's ruling in Oregon.
Yeah.
Is it Oregon? Yeah, in Oregon, right,
Yeah.
where they're wearing little beanie hats, doing demonstrations, not an ounce of violence, but they stayed the federal judge's order blocking Donald Trump from sending the federal reserves into Oregon. So they didn't overturn it, but in effect, they did overturn it. But they stayed that decision, which is to suggest or to say that he can now send the National Guard into Oregon.
Yeah. And it was two of his judges, Trump's judges, that he appointed. And they said that it was okay to bring the National Guard in because federal agents, ICE and other people, needed to be protected just in case, basically. But it's the one thing that we have going for us right now is that 7 million people from sea to shining sea came out on Saturday to protest what he's doing. And if that many people just came out and showed up, then that tells you that the votes against Trump are going to be tremendous next November, as they should be. We need to get the House back and the Senate too, if possible. And if we get the House and the Senate, then we'll be able to impeach him a third time. And this time he will be convicted if we have the Senate, because
Well, you got to be able to get 60. You got to be able to get 60 votes in the Senate. So I was just going to say that we got to do more than just get the Senate. There has to be, now with that 7 million people being out on the streets voting, and then millions of us supporting them in other ways, it has to turn into votes. Because remember, we had large protests out. I don't think that we had a single day protest with that many people, because I think the one that was earlier this year that they had, the first No Kings Day, was about 5 million people or something like that.
Yeah,
okay.
that was right on his birthday when he's having the military parade in D.C.
Right. So there were 5 million people at that. But that is said, is that we have to have. This has to be a complete repudiation of this administration and what he is doing. In fact, a complete repudiation of Donald Trump, frankly, of what he is doing to neutralize and to neuter what his ability to continue the harm and the damage that he has done.
Yeah, step one is for everybody to show up to vote in November of next year.
Well, I think we're seeing evidence of that. There's been 43 special elections. I think 43 special elections. We've won all 43 of those special elections. 40 of them by 16 points or more. 3 of them were won in I think ruby red districts that a Democrat has not won. And one of those, a Democrat never won.
Right.
So
Oh yeah,
I
no,
think
it's happening. It's happening, and the thing is, if you'll recall, he was going to solve inflation on day one, and not only has he not solved it, he's not even tried to solve it. He's too busy getting revenge, and he's lying as usual about inflation not happening. He's saying, well, that's actually been solved. Everything is down now. And the problem he's facing is that people have to buy groceries every day, every month, every week. You know, there's a period where you got to go get some more food. And you're seeing the grocery bill. You know what things used to cost. And you know a bag of potato chips didn't cost $5 a year ago. And so you know that you know that beef is costing per pound almost as much as minimum wage for some people get per hour. And he's more interested in getting revenge and getting power, becoming a dictator, than he is in doing what's good. And that's reflected in the popularity polls now. He's
yes.
down to 37%, which is a good sign.
Yeah, he's at 37%, but there is also a poll that shows that he is at 69% of the country believes that we're going in the wrong direction. Only 30% of the country,
Right.
those polled, believe that the country is going in the right direction. 69%
Right.
believe that the country is going in the wrong direction. That
Because
means
he
there's a
did.
lot of Republicans. That means
Yeah.
there's a lot of Republicans who
Right.
who is that now? Now the idea or the notion that people chose to not take him serious, and it's not even so much as him, is to take people like Russell Vogt
Right. They didn't
serious.
know about. They didn't even know.
Who is the mastermind of Project 2025?
Exactly.
He's the lead author of Project 2025,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, but if you recall, when Project 2025 was leaked, and we learned about it, and we learned that it was 900 pages long, and we knew it was alleged that this was Trump's blueprint. And of course, Trump lied about it and said he didn't know anything about it, and it wasn't his thing at all. That it is, in fact, the blueprint. You can go to different ideas in the 2025 plan, and you will see it right there, what he's doing now. When he knew it was bad, that's why he denied it. He said he didn't know anything about it. He didn't have anything to do with it, and it's not the sort of stuff he wanted. He lied about it, all that, and now he's hitting his mark.
Here's a clip of Russell Vogt.
He's been at our organization. He's raised money for our organization. He's blessed. He's been at our organization. He's raised money for our organization. He's blessed.
So he's talking
I want
about
to make sure that we can say we're a Christian nation, and my viewpoint is mostly that I would. In an ideal world, I mean, I think we are trying to create a shadow Office of Management and Budget, a shadow National Security Council, and a shadow Office of Legal Counsel. Yeah. These are the main organs in government that you need outside to create the battle plan.
And you're not going to publish those?
No.
They go straight to...
Yeah, they're very, very close hold.
Now, what you just saw is just a couple of clips of an interview by two reporters posing as wealthy donors that Russell Vought thought that he was meeting with, which is why he was unveiling everything that they're planning at the time that they were planning, that they're actually now putting in place. Russell Vought is the OMB director this time, as he was in Trump's first term. And it's Russell Vought and Stephen Miller who are the two that are really orchestrating all of what is being done. And Donald Trump is just signing off on this. I mean, the guy does not have, an original thought about solving problems or making things better here in the country or in the world, for that matter. None of that is his idea or his concern.
Yeah, I mean, but his concern is making money and making more money and making even more money and amassing power while he's doing it, so that he can be rich and more powerful.
Well, he's certainly doing both of those now. His consolidating and amassing power, that obviously we have to break, and I think that given what we have seen this past weekend, I would be curious to see what Indivisible and the white voting community is planning next, because I don't think that it needs to stop there. I think that there needs to be a continuation reminder and reminding of the public that we have to repudiate this. I mean, and it has to be where it is cheat proof. It has to be where there's cheat proof, because really the only way that the Republicans have won elections since Dwight Eisenhower was to cheat in every election. That was the last legitimate election that the Republicans actually won. Every election post that has come by them doing some type of cheating. But that aside, but I think that there has to be, and there's going to have to be a significant number of Republicans who are going to have the conviction, if they really care about putting the country on a better course than where we are now, because it's going to take a while, but it might not take as long if we get the Democrats in control, and in control at the power that they need to be in control, so that one, while he is in office, that they can neutralize him, meaning that they have the House of Representatives, right? They have the House, and that they have the Senate, and they have the supermajority in the Senate by giving the Democrats 60 seats.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a grand slam, and I'm not sure we're going to get that. But when we get the House, and we are going to get the House.
Nobody ever walks up to the plate sure that they're going to get a grand slam, but you can get it.
Yeah, but when we get the House, then we can stop a lot of the stuff he's doing. There will be investigations, and all these people that are carrying out all his illegal wishes that he wants can be and will be indicted and charged. because the Democrats will investigate them, expose all the illegal stuff and corrupt stuff they've been doing, and they will go to jail. Unfortunately, the activist right wing Supreme Court has protected. Trump is protected. He has a get out of jail free card because of rulings the Supreme Court has made. So he can continue to try to do bad things. But when we get the power in January of 27, because that's when you'll have the new Congress in, when we get that power and they start sending people to jail, he's going to have a harder time finding people willing to carry that out, knowing that they will be in jail.
Are we going to have, well, we got to have a Department of Justice that is going to be able to hold these people accountable. Pharm.D is still going to be the Attorney General, despite what happens in the House. So how would that impact people who need to be held accountable?
If we had a Democratic House, Pharm.D could be investigated and charged with breaking laws that would have her on trial and out of that office. And when the Democrats get the power in the House, where they're heading the committees that do the investigations, much of that stuff will come to a screeching halt. So but in the meantime, we're going to have still got some difficult days ahead. 13 months to be exact, where Trump is going to be running wild. And we may. What I'm fearful of is that he may put us in a war to try to get a third term, to get support from people again. I don't think it's going to work, but I think he's going to try it. He's moving a lot of military equipment in Central America, South America, towards
Are you talking about towards Venezuela?
Yeah, Venezuela. That's what I was
Yeah.
blanking. Yeah, Venezuela, and that's for a war. That's he's moving equipment and soldiers and etc. So
Right, and they just dropped what was this, the 7th bomb that they just dropped on a civilian boat that they claimed was allegedly carrying, smuggling drugs to the United States, that we have absolutely no proof of. And
it's against international law, but because the Republicans are running everything, then he could do this right now. With the Democrats just whining about it because they don't have any power. But after the House wins, they'll be able to expose all this foolishness that he's doing and horrible things that he's doing. But in the meantime, he's doing more and more of it. This is why we have the National Guard patrolling the Chicago River. going up or riding in boats up and down the Chicago River. And he's putting all these troops in place here to intimidate, and when the time comes, declare martial law and take things over. You know, that situation that happened, the raid on the in South Shore, where they had the helicopters and that was a full assault. They never would have done that on the Gold Coast or Lincoln Park, or even Hyde Park for that matter. That never would have happened. They're picking people they think they know they can abuse or misuse.
Yeah, I mean, but you got idiotic people who are looking way beyond the atrocity of this and the atrociousness of it, looking way beyond and saying that, well, you know, why didn't the city do something about the conditions of the building before now, as though that what Trump did was appropriate and okay.
Right. Exactly. I know that's just stupid. You know, it's yeah. I mean, that was a practice of what they will be doing more of.
What they will be doing more of on Black people.
Yes. Yeah.
See, the Venezuelans was their excuse to go into a Black community to do this to Black people.
Exactly.
And then you have some idiotic people who are asking dumb questions, basically sanctioning what is being done to Black people, then saying, you know, that other people are mistreating our people as though this was not mistreating our people.
Right. See, this is why, contrary to your vote, your group's vote, we needed to be out there on Saturday as part of the protest march in great numbers. We didn't need to be leading it, but we needed to be there as part of a coalition. Because many of the tactics they're using, we invented during the civil rights movement. The whole idea of nonviolence, and the reason we succeeded in the 60s, 50s and 60s, was because of Dr. King and the nonviolent movement. And that's what they're copying now. They're employing,
and they should be.
Yeah, exactly.
They should be.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so let them do it, but we need to be a part of it.
Well, we are, but we don't have to be. We don't have to be out there doing the work that they need to be doing to the bigger portion of the work. I think that we are involved. We're not disengaged, but you know, I don't think we need to be out there.
The thing is, my disappointment was that there weren't that many Black people out there for that protest. 250,000 people, right, protesting in Chicago on Saturday.
And Black people protested. Black people protested by not being there.
Yeah,
Black people protested by not being there.
No, yeah, and that's the problem. That's not a protest.
How do you see it? How do you view it as a problem?
I view it because we weren't there. We weren't a part of it, and that's like
Yes, we were. The very reason that they were able to do it is because we taught them how to do it.
Yeah, but that's
So
yeah, right.
we were there.
Yeah, you know, 150 years ago, uh, jockeys, horse jockeys for horse races were black.
Hmm.
And we taught them how to ride the horses real well. And now
Hmm.
almost no jockeys in the business are black.
Well, and there's almost nobody black in the federal government because they've cut them all.
Right,
300,000 black women
exactly. So you do not
have
want,
been
you do
thrown
not
out on
want
the
to,
streets.
yeah, you do not want to be in the space where it happens. Black people don't need, we need to be there. Um, a lot
Where
of black,
black people need where black people need to be, people need to do, we strategically need to make sure that we do what we did last November when the ballot box opened. We will be at the ballot box where it matters. I think
we weren't
that
there. That's the point I'm making. We weren't.
sure, yes, we were. Of course we were. Of
There
course
were
we
much
were.
fewer black voters.
78% of black men voted against Trump. 92% of black women voted against Trump. That is the largest single, hold on, that's the largest single voting block of any group, period,
Those
that
who voted,
voted against Trump.
that percentage of those who voted, but many, many more didn't vote. They just stayed home. If the same amount of black people, numbers now, I'm not talking about percentages, I'm talking about numbers. If the same amount of black folks voted for Kamala in the last election, then she would have been president, and we wouldn't have this
No,
problem.
she would not have been. There were 54% of Hispanic men that voted against Kamala Harris,
Yeah,
83% of white men, and
as you see,
53% of white women.
no, no, no,
39% of those, hold on a
that
second,
doesn't count.
39%, sure it
Yeah,
does count. Sure it
no, it
does.
doesn't.
39% of the 54% said that they voted for Trump because they did not believe that a woman should be the president. So
I know that, but
you
if the same number of black people voted in that last election as they voted for the election before, instead of going home, if they had come and voted, she still would have won.
well, then you know who's responsible for that? Cornel West.
No,
Cornel
I didn't
West
say that.
yes, he is. Cornel West is responsible for discouraging people to participate in the election because of his own ego. And he knew better and knows better. This is not some person who is ignorant. This is a person who absolutely knows better. So he is far more responsible. He is far more responsible for more people not showing up to the polls or deciding not to vote because of the position that he took. Number one, this is the problem, and I've never said this publicly before, but this is the problem that I have with people. When you are in a position and you have these large platforms, you do more harm than you can measure. Doesn't matter because you don't have, you know, we all know they would never get elected, but you still have the influence to cause harm. And he caused harm that will be immeasurable to the country and to our communities. So I'm not buying the argument.
I don't want to argue with you about that. I don't. I'm not sure that Cornell had that much influence single-handedly, but he could have. But the important thing is that we weren't there, just like we weren't there on Saturday. This is the argument I'm making, and we need to be witness to that stuff. We need to brotherhood, as they say in the church, with these other folks that are out there.
Why would we need to brotherhood with people who didn't want a brotherhood with us on November the 5th? That's my point. They didn't want a brotherhood or sisterhood with us on November the 5th when they should have. But now we should brotherhood with them.
Yeah, because
we should brotherhood with them. We should put our people out at risk to fix their problem now. I disagree with that.
We weren't at risk. There was no risk. What was the risk?
No, because Donald Trump is not going to shoot a bunch of white folks down in the streets. He's not. He's not going to send military. He's not going to send. He's not going to send a bunch of military people out there to shoot white folks down in the street.
Out there was a bunch of white folks. They
That's
weren't
good.
So we should have been out there with them, influencing the strategy, being represented. We didn't need to be absent.
We weren't absent. We weren't absent. We weren't absent. We were just engaged in a different strategic way. We weren't absent. I don't look at it as being absent. I certainly wasn't absent. I am as engaged and as anybody, because I wasn't out there on in Grant Park or or in the middle of their protest. That was not our place. I am as engaged as anyone, and I don't consider myself to be absent at all.
You weren't there. You were.
No, I didn't. I didn't intend to be there.
Yeah,
I didn't intend to be there.
I know.
But I am engaged, and what I believe that we need to be doing as Black people is we need to continue to strategize, to be strategic, to make sure that we show up to the polls when the ballot box opens, that we make our voices heard resoundingly at the next election, the same way that we made our voices heard and white folks decided that this was what we should take a chance on now. That's where I believe that we should be. So, this is not on Black folks. This is on white folks to fix.
No, because what's wrong with that thinking is that if it's not fixed, and the next group of people that are going to be rounding up is not white folks, it's going to be us.
Well, here's where I'm asking you to take a look. This can only be changed at the ballot box. It's not going to happen before then, because the MAGA Republicans and the sycophants that he has control over are not going to do anything to change course now. They're not going to do it. It is only going to change course when we have the power to do so. That means that we have to show up in resounding numbers at the poll. And that means that white folks who voted for this have to show up in resounding numbers at the poll to reverse the curse that they unleashed.
We can't wait. We shouldn't wait. We can't wait until November of next year. We need to be at work right now, and in many ways as possible, to temper some of this craziness.
You're not going to temper it. That's a fallacy. We're not going to temper it.
No, we've tempered some stuff already. I mean,
what are we tempered?
Things that with Trump, some of the things that he's not sent military, actual soldiers. We have National Guard, but he hasn't sent the military in large numbers here.
Not yet.
Yeah, right, exactly. And he hasn't.
I think the court has just opened the door today.
No, that's for Portland. I mean,
well, that's just for Portland, but now the Supreme Court today, Chicago had till 5 o'clock today to turn in its answers to the Supreme Court. So we could have a decision for the Supreme Court, as late as this evening or tomorrow about what happens here in Illinois.
Yeah, we could, but because there's been resistance. See, what happens, the way dictators, authoritarians win, the way Hitler became Hitler, is certain groups, the weakest groups, are attacked, first of all. And people who could make a difference just acquiesce. They stay at home, or they anticipate that something bad could happen to them, and so they don't fight it. This is why Trump was winning with the colleges, the Ivy League colleges, or what have you, with taking the money away. And so they said, okay, well, we'll change our courses. We'll get rid of DEI. We'll fire Black professors and Black people in general. And that has made him more powerful because it gives the impression that he's all powerful, because these people are going along with his program because they're afraid. If they have fought him more, because when they fight him, he loses.
Well, there's no question that but the only way that you're going to fight him, and listen, I hope that in some part that you're correct, but I don't see the evidence of that he is being tempered. I think that he's doubling down on it, and I don't think that you can temper him. The only way that you're going to have to be able to temper him is you have to neuter him. You have to neuter him, and the only way that we're going to neuter him is taking power. That's only the courts are not doing it. In fact, the courts that are trying to doing, they're being neutered by his sycophant, and we don't know that the Supreme Court, based on and certainly based on the history of what the Supreme Court has unleashed him to do, they will continue to do that. We will see what happens. What I am saying is this: I am unequivocally opposed to any of us disengaging, but I am not suggesting that any of us go in the streets to help what these people, it's their responsibility to get out into the street and to get millions and millions and millions more of them into the streets, marching the same way that we marched during the George Floyd. They need to be out in the street every week, every month, whatever it takes for them to be out in the street, sending a message.
I'm glad you said
Hold
that.
on a second. Hold on a second. Sending a message.
You're making my point, Mark. You're making my point. Because they were out in the street for George Floyd, this is when a lot of things changed, where they started hiring more Black people. DEI was, in fact, went into effect.
Well, DEI has been castrated in the last 8 months.
Yes,
it's been castrated. So here, this is my point. This is my point: is that all of those gains. No, I'm not. All of those gains that you're talking about have been completely castrated because they voted for this.
Yeah, but they voted. They voted. Well, they didn't vote for it. The people who were marching for George Floyd did not vote for Trump. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that are marching today. Many of these people who are marching today voted for this. Many of those people who are in the streets voted for this. Yes, they are. In fact, there was one man who was out there who said that he voted for Trump. some of the
but that he could not take it. So
because they we're gonna
so
we're gonna when he said that we're only gonna do the criminals and the rapists and the drug dealers, and they were none of that. They were just trying to be regular people. Then they believed him, and that's why they voted, because they thought thought that they were worried about inflation, and he said he was going to reduce inflation. And what happens historically with America, what has happened is whenever there's a new group of immigrants coming in, then everybody else doesn't want that group. We, back 150 years ago, we were discriminating against the Chinese. In fact, the reason we have so many Chinese restaurants now, and it's really an American cuisine, Chinese restaurants, is because after the railroads were built, which the Chinese helped with a lot, then they passed these laws where to keep Chinese out, these immigration laws to keep Chinese out. And so the only way you could, if you were Chinese, was get into the country was if you came to work for a relative who had a Chinese restaurant, because they when they were here initially, before the discriminatory laws came, they were having restaurants, and so they started having more restaurants so they could bring their family members in. But they discriminated against Chinese. Up until the 1960s, they discriminated against people of color, period. By that I mean people from India, Pakistan, any of the brown people that they're upset about now. They discriminated against. And in fact, what Trump and his people are trying to do right now is bring in white people and keep out brown and black people.
There's no question about that. That's not what they're trying to do. That's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing, is trying to whiten the White House even more than it already is,
right.
And the government even more than it is.
Yeah.
And it is people who are who thought that somehow to protect their whiteness and their white nationalism, they voted for this, thinking that they were not going to be victims of this, and they are victims of this.
Right.
And they in great numbers, and they have a greater responsibility to be on the front lines of this and to fix this. Black folks, we need to continue to strategize.
I'm not arguing about the front lines. Who's going to be front? What I'm saying is we need to be a part of it. We don't have to be on the front line.
Well, we are a part of it, but we don't have to be out there with them beating the streets because we did what we were supposed to do.
We need.
I think we need to be strategic.
Yeah,
I think we need to be absolutely strategic.
That's part of the strategy, is to be there to make connections.
To make connections.
Yeah.
To make connections with who?
With everybody else. I mean,
well, listen, we tried to do that. We tried to do that last year and the year leading up to the election, of telling white folks not to vote for this. They didn't make that connection. Now you want us to go and make the connection with them?
The white folks voted for Kamala. It wasn't like they voted for
most her. White folks voted for him. 53% of white women voted for him. 83% of white men voted for him.
Yeah, but that's not a good argument, because white people after LBJ passed the Civil Rights Bill in '64, white folks started shifting to vote Republican. And white folks have been Republican. This is what they do.
No, but listen, only 40% of the only 40% of the electorate of this country are Republicans. 40% of the electorate are Republicans of this of the electorate of the United States of America today. Only 40%.
But and only
okay. So if
vast
yeah,
majority
but if
of people now are independent. They aren't Republicans, they're independent.
This independent nonsense, they voted for a Republican. They voted for this extremist. That's what I'm saying.
1.5%.
Well, it doesn't matter. He's there. He's there to but he is there but Monroe, whether he no, it's not that it's a landslide. It's that he is in power to inflict the carnage that he is doing.
Power, which I said earlier, that if we, just black folks, if more black folks had voted, he wouldn't be in power.
Yeah, well, I'm not on that bandwagon of blaming black folks for this, because black folks are not responsible for this. 53% of white women, 53% of white women, 83% of white men, and 54% of Hispanic men are responsible for this, not black folks. Black folks are the largest single block of any group that voted against what we have today.
You doing percentages, and I'm saying actual votes.
One is not exclusive of the other.
More rural white people voted for him than we voted. You know, if rural white people had not
those are rural white people who had never voted before. Exactly. because they have somebody and 53% of white women of the 52% voted for him in 2016. 53% of them voted for him in 2024. 83%. But they voted against their own interest. They voted against their own interest in large numbers. We in large numbers voted against what is there. Nobody else put up those kind of numbers against what is there.
Okay, a lot of them voted because they knew what Make America Great is.
No, they don't. They have no idea what Make America Great is.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. They listen to a tagline. Well, I've been asking for people to explain to me what period of time are we talking about making America great again?
Pre-1964, when they were free to lynch us, they wouldn't let us vote. They wanted us in our place. We couldn't live anywhere, do anything. We only got beyond, in my lifetime, your lifetime, we only got beyond being second-class citizens in the mid-'60s.
Well, without question, we have made the strongest gains as a people, individually and collectively over the last 60 years, without question. And guess what is happening now is they're trying to do all that they can to reverse that.
What a thing happened in the 30s. In the 30s, the KKK was so 20s, 30s. They were so powerful. They were in legislations as far north as New York City. There had been a reaction. I mean, this is what happens. That the pendulum swings this way, then it swings that way. Trump, you have these people, white people that are racist, or that are fearful of America not being white anymore. What they're working overtime to try to do everything to move us back, free the civil rights movement.
Well, I don't think anybody is arguing with that. I don't think anybody is arguing with that. But the fact of the matter is, this person and this administration would not be in power to do this. They would not be in power to do this if 53% of white women and 54% of Hispanic men, 39% who said that if it was a man, they would have voted for the Democrat.
Yeah.
39% of them said if it was a man, they would have voted for the Democrat. So, you know, you know, that's your position, that you're leaning more on more of us. I contend that people like Cornel West, who, if he had taken a different position and going, well, but we should be holding him accountable. We should be holding him accountable because what Cornel West, he knows better. This is a scholar. This is not an ignorant man.
Yeah.
He knows better. We can't blame any of that on him not knowing or any of that.
About Cornel,
right? So what Cornel West should have done, if he is unhappy, and it's what I say to all of us, if we are unhappy with something, you don't blow up the car, fix the parts of the car so that the car can run better. So you don't blow up the entire system. Let's put ourselves in a position so that we can make those changes.
He was operating his ego. He had a bruised ego because
his ego was bruised. His ego was bruised. But if Cornel West stuck to what he says his convictions are, my ego does not harm my fellow brothers and sisters. That's the point that I'm making. This is not an ignorant person. This is not someone who doesn't have a value system. You do not allow for your ego to usurp your value system, that you harm your brothers and sisters.
Ideally, you're right, but as human beings, he got all petty about it. He didn't get invited to the White House when Obama was president, and so he was anti-Obama. And
Obama was not in president. This was Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. This was not Obama. Okay, this was not Obama. I'm not buying that at all. I'm not buying that at all. I think that what he should have done is he should have gone to the campaign and he should have said to the campaign, "I've got some real concerns, but I want these concerns to be addressed, and I will go on the campaign trail." That's what he should have done. This is a scholar. This is not somebody who graduated with just a BS degree. I'm not talking about somebody who just graduated with a BS degree. We're talking about a Princeton scholar.
Scholars are human beings, and they can be as petty as the next person.
I think it was. See, I don't think it was as little as being petty. I think it was unconscionable what he did. Unconscionable.
Yeah.
Unconscionable what he did. Yeah. So I don't reduce it to being. I think it's unconscionable.
I'm not defending him at all. I think it was unconscionable too, but I'm not sure. The difference between the two of us is you are convinced that had he done the right thing instead of what he did, that would have made all the difference. I don't know
could have
had that much influence. I know he had some influence for sure, but I'm not sure.
Well, You know, the I think the same thing happened when Al Gore lost to Bush. You remember what was the woman's name? The Green Party lady, who, you know, she didn't get a significant number, but she got enough.
Yeah, right.
She got enough that it's foiled the election for Al Gore. So this is my point: is that he didn't have to get a large swath or discourage a large swath. He just can discourage just enough that it made the difference for the other side.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit makes a major difference. I don't ever, I think that, and I said earlier in the program, is that individualism is a toxic cancer for us. It is a toxic cancer for us. It is a lose-lose for us. We cannot operate as, with an individualized, attitude. We have to be collective. We have to be corporate. Our numbers corporately are too small in order for us to be operating individually. We have to function on a corporate collective basis. And for somebody who has that kind of intelligence, that kind of experience, and who understands the historical situation and understand this historically, to be that irresponsible, he needs to answer to it. He needs to answer to it. And I believe that it played a role. I believe it played a role in the 9 million people that you're talking about that didn't show up.
Yeah.
He played a role in discouraging some of those people.
I got an idea.
Okay.
Why don't you invite him to come on your podcast?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, and he won't come?
He hasn't. He hasn't responded. My next ask is going to be going to Father Flager, because he responds to Father Flager. I'm going to ask Father Flager to ask him if he will come on. And I want him to come on with the both of us. I want him to come on with the both of us. And he needs to answer to what he has done, and he needs to take some responsibility for it.
He's not going to take responsibility.
All right, listen, we got a couple of minutes to go. I just want to kind of highlight a couple of other things that have happened in the news. George Santos, he commuted his sentence. Guy who had been in prison for cheating people and lying to people and committing actual crime of taking unemployment benefits and other things, and served less than 3 months on a 7-year sentence, and he commutes his sentence. Yes. But that's no surprise, because we got a felon as a president, right? We got a felon as a president.
Part of his strategy is that he is pardoning and commuting and persecuting the people that when he was president exposed him, charged him, because what he's doing is trying to make it where, okay, everybody does it and it's no big deal.
Right.
Oh,
what happened? Yeah, Debbie Green said it was Jill Stein. Jill Stein of the Green Party. I just wanted to make that. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what he's doing. First of all, he's never had much respect for the law. I mean, he's been a crook and a racist.
Yeah. All right, listen. Let's close out, and we'll have a couple of minutes. All right, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this Monday night's edition of the People Show on intellectualradio.com and iHeartRadio, along with my guest, Monroe Anderson, on this Monroe Monday. We'll see you right back here at the same time, same place, next Monday night for another edition of the People Show on intellectualradio.com and iHeartRadio.
All right.